Uh, yeah, yeah, uh.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Tuesday evening, which means one thing and one thing only. It is time to go to class. It's time to go to school on that fantasy cheat sheet presented by Going for Two Live. Like, subscribe, comment on YouTube, Twitch, everywhere. Come and join the party. Let's just get straight to it before we get into everything that we got to get into today. Jordan, what is up, my man? How are you doing?
Doing all right, man. Had some injuries to a lot of fantasy teams, but I'm ready to talk about it.
We'll definitely get into that. And Jamie, I know me and you have talked off air and online today about a couple things, but what are you doing overall before you go on a rant in a little bit?
I just can't believe we're already in week 3 already. It's just going way too quick.
All right, before we get into the stuff we were going to plan on getting into, why does time have to go so fast once we actually get here? Because we take so long and it struggled to get here, and all of a sudden we're like, is it going to get here? And then we get here and we can't even blink and it's already gone 3 weeks. Does not make sense. All right, so let's just get into the news and notes. Let's get into the big one, boys. We might as well just peel the Band-Aid off like we did last week. Last week we had the Aaron Rodgers news on Monday night. This week, unfortunately, it has to do with someone's team on here, which makes it even worse. Running back Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the league. I don't care what people say. He is probably in pure runner, top 3 in the league. Out for the year. They haven't come out with a full diagnosis, but it is a significant knee injury to the same knee that he injured in while he was at school at the University of Georgia. Not going to speculate how bad or what tendons or anything like that. Just we know he's out for the year. What does this mean for the Browns? What does this mean for the league? Jordan, I'm going to throw it to you so Jamie can have a little bit of time to hear what you say and then just go off on his own.
I mean, devastating injury for Nick Chubb, man. Very gruesome. Like you mentioned, one of the best running backs in the league. The centerpiece of the Browns offense, which I'm sure Jamie will get into a little bit later. It just changes the dynamic of what they want to do. He was the head of the snake on offense, even though he wasn't nearly the highest paid player on that team. But they relied on him to get things going even before he got hurt. I mean, he had 60 yards on 10 carries in that short span of time, so 6 yards a carry up to that point, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but he was productive, and he's going to be missed tremendously with that offense. I mean, obviously, they're going to be the team has to continue to prepare and switch gears to try to figure out how to replace him. He's going to be hard to replace. And you saw that it's during certain stretches of the game. But yeah, just feel bad for him, feel bad for the Browns fans, and hopefully he can make a speedy recovery and be back potentially next year. It was just a gruesome injury, though.
All right, so speaking of Browns fans, Jamie, after you've had a day to figure this out, because trust me, I would have been distraught last night and I wouldn't have been able to talk about it.
Yep.
After you've had a full day to comprehend it, and we'll get to more of your thoughts on the offense and on the team in a little bit, what is your thought behind Chubb and what this means to the team's offense in general?
I mean, Chubb was pretty much our whole offense, star player. There is no replacing him. I don't care who's out there. The only person that could replace him would be Jonathan Taylor. And, we ain't paying him. We don't have the money for it. Plus, even if we do get him, we can't play him because he's on the PUP list till after week, 4?
4.
Yeah, so that's a wash. Like, we're in a win-now position. This just killed our chances, and it's a sad day for the Browns, man.
All right, the only thing I really have to add to this, because we got to talk about it, and I know neither one of you want to talk about it, especially the one below me. With it being the same leg, and we can't speculate how bad it is because we don't know what tendon. I'm afraid this is, I don't know if he's ever going, this could be it. I mean, I'm afraid this is like he's never going to be the leading rusher for a team again, and that sucks because I think if this didn't happen, he could have been their leading rusher. They could have done what. Not saying they would have done exactly what Tennessee's doing, but they could have pulled the Tennessee and just let him run and run and run because Chubb is one of those guys like Derrick Henry that can hold the workload and just keep running the damn ball.
True. I did consult with going for two, the doc,
Oh, you did?
and he thinks it's like an ACL, MCL, could be a PCL. But the one thing that stuck out is if his blood vessels are intact, that's a good sign.
Yep.
It could be like Javonte Williams, Dobbins type of situation where it'll take him like a year to recover, 8 months to recover, then like halfway through the next season, maybe he'll get back to his full health.
I'm hoping because I'm just afraid it's like you said. I heard the blood vessel thing, and that just
And
that made my skin crawl.
He's already almost 28 years old, so by the time he recovers fully, he'll be like about 29.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So to get into a couple more news of the day that we should probably get into, this hurts me and Jordan more than this hurts you, Jamie. And Jordan knows why. And Jordan, you know where I'm going with this one. Now the Chargers are coming out and saying that there is no timetable for Eckler's return. All right. I was under the impression that it was going to be a 1 or 2 week injury. I think we all were. And now it is not. They're saying no timetable. Jordan, I'm just going to pull the Band-Aid off again. To have a league where we have $1,000 budget for Fab. Jamie's in the league, the GOAT League, Jamie.
Yep.
Jordan's stuck, and I told you, are you sure you want to spend that much? I said, are you sure you want to spend that much? And Jordan says, I need to spend $600 to get him.
So this is what happened. And then when I told you all that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna change it to 6. Then I fell asleep and didn't change it to 6. And then and I bought him. I got him for 7. So
it's okay.
Who was the next person bid? What was the next bid?
I don't want to talk
like
about
5.
that. I don't want to.
Like he could have got him for 6.
He could have got him for 6. It was $591.
Yeah, he could have got him for 6. Okay, so all jokes aside about not getting or paying too much on Eckler and having him not even play, Jordan, what does this do for the Chargers backfield itself?
I think that they're saying no timetable. Coaches like to be particularly vague for game planning and what gamesmanship or whatever. But I was just looking at their schedule, and they have a week 5 bye, so an early bye for them. It wouldn't surprise me if after the bye in week 6 he came back or something like that, just to be cautious with them. But moving forward, the next couple of games before the bye, some easy matchups. They have the Vikings, then they have the Raiders, and then they have the bye. So for the backfield, Josh Kelly got a lot of work, but he was playing against a Titans defense that was one of the best run defenses in the league. So you couldn't expect too much from him. He got the work that you would like, just couldn't really do anything with it against a stout defense. But the next 2 weeks, I think you can count on him to provide some flex value. Nobody's going to be Austin Eckler. They're not using those guys to replicate him man for man, but the production could still be there for another guy. I think obviously Kelly's at the front of the line right now, so production for him should be there in the next couple of games, and then I'm sure they'll reevaluate Eckler around the bye, see if he's going to be ready to come back in week 6.
Yeah, Jamie, what does this do in the running back scenario of the NFL with everything else that's going on?
The running back, Josh Kelly, he's going to be usable. I told everyone not to start him last week, and I said that's going to be a tough matchup. And Jeff Lambert even came back and said, what makes you think it's a tough matchup? And he listed all these statistics. I'm like, because they eat running backs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's the only thing that defense can do.
Exactly. And I said, like, the way to beat them is through the air. And he's going to get, 3.5 yards per carry, which he actually did better than I thought. He got 3.7 yards per carry. So I got my face too. But I think he'll be usable in the next few weeks. Like Jordan said, they have an easy schedule. Every team they play before the bye, their secondaries are ranked one of the bottom in the league. So they'll just rely on the passing game, get by with the run game, and then bring Eckler back maybe in week 6 after the bye week.
Yeah.
Mike, you brought up a good point about the running back. So when you think about before the season, there were guys getting together. It was Nick Chubb was one of the guys, Austin Eckler, when they were having the Jonathan Taylor situation.
Yep.
And you think about Saquon is hurt. Nick Chubb is hurt.
So you got Eckler, Nick Chubb, Saquon. On a lower level, Jamal Williams. You got no Jonathan Taylor yet. You got no Kamara yet. Other than that, keep going.
And so, those guys were trying to fight for the value of running backs, but it's kind of not looking good for them when you think about it's week 2 and a lot of those guys are out already. So it doesn't go well at the negotiating table next time those guys try to get paid and talk about the value of a running back. I believe running backs are still valuable when you look at the dangers of the position and how many top guys have already gotten hurt, and we're not even a month into the season. I don't think that's a good look for them moving forward.
Yeah, like right now we see Kyron Williams, Brian Robinson, we see Mostert. Who else is in the top? Algier. I mean, all those guys in the top 12.
Oh, it's nasty. And the problem with it is the more and more it happens, and I agree with you, Jordan, that they still have value. But the more and more this happens, the more and more the owners are going to be able to say, yeah, some got value, but overall as a position, you don't. And then you got guys and the other problem is this, and we'll get to one later, so I'm not going to bring his name up. Then you got a guy who you think is going to be a top 10 running back. At least I thought he was going to be a top 10 running back. And even though he's healthy, he's shitting the bed. And he shit the bed last night too. There's your hint, people. That's all we're going to give you. But another running back that we have to bring up real quick, he's not injured, but he got deactivated an hour before the game. Thank you, Jamie. I was on the freeway when you texted me that. Thank goodness. Cool. So I texted Jamie yesterday morning because I was up at the butt crack of dawn, or Sunday, because I had to go to my brother's wedding shower, or whatever you want to call it. So I watched 20 minutes of football all day long. And I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to ask anyone on shows, or I'm not going to be able to listen to any shows in the morning. Shaheed or Akers? Yep. And then he goes, I would do Shaheed. I go, well, ask the other guys because I just need to make sure. And then it's like 20 minutes before kickoff, and he goes, Akers is supposedly going to be deactivated. I'm all, well, that made it a lot easier. All right.
We all said Shaheed anyway.
Yeah, they all said Shaheed anyway. So for everyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, Cam Akers from the Rams got deactivated on Sunday. Now it's coming out. They're saying that there is trade talks. There was supposedly already trade talks before he got deactivated. Akers is saying he didn't know about that. But, I mean, players going to say they didn't know. The team's going to say they did do it. I've heard Miami. I've heard your team, Jamie. That's obviously going to be brought up now. I've heard the Giants because of Barkley, and I've heard a couple other teams. Overall, I'm going to go to you first, Jamie. What is his value, not trade value like a third rounder, like a fifth rounder for an NFL team, but what is his overall value going to another team, and what is his value in fantasy if he goes to a team and is able to carve out a role?
I mean, he's still going to be in a committee either way, so I would put him at like a lower end RB2, right around that value. So let's say he does go to the Browns, he'll probably split with Jerome Ford. So that's just going to lower Ford's value. In Dynasty, I'm not trading for him in Dynasty either way. If you could get a third for him right now, that would be awesome. But when he does get signed to a team, go ahead and try to ask for a second.
Yeah. So, Jordan, what is your opinion on his value, but also the situation in LA in general with him and Kyron?
So it's been weird. This has been going on with him for a year now. The situation kind of started early last year. They were talking about trading him. Then all of a sudden he came back and was really good for him at the end of the season. But then I don't know. That first week was terrible from a yards per carry standpoint for him. I know. Um, I don't know what happened. That was just a bad game. And Kyron looked good comparatively to him. And then last week, with him deactivated, Kyron played almost every snap but 2 snaps. He was really productive, so he's pretty much grabbed that starting job. I'm assuming they're ready to move on from Akers overall in LA, and him going to a different team. Obviously, his value is going to be higher than it is right now. It's at an all-time low, but I would hope a team that's focused, like James said, wherever he goes, he's going to be a committee, because that's what every team has just about right
Every
now.
team.
Every team has a committee, so it'll be a committee approach. But I think he's a talented guy. I mean, obviously the Rams spent some draft capital on him, so he still has some talent. But if he goes to somewhere like the Browns, a team that likes to run the ball, I'd like to see that for him. Him and Ford can split. That may be a job he can win outright. Who knows? But if he goes to other places like the Giants as a temporary fill-in or anything like that, I don't see him being more of a come in, get 3-4 carries, and then be on the bench. So for him, I would be pushing to get to a team where it looks like I could win the starting job.
All right. So before we get into the main cheats of the week, Brittany, if you're watching, I know you put up a few comments. I'm going to bring them up at different times of the night on purpose, because there's one I want to save till the end for waiver. But the first one I'm going to bring up, and we can just go around the horn really quick. Would you drop Laporta and or Kincaid for Ertz? Jamie?
No, I would not. I know Ertz he's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Where is he at? But I don't see him sticking with that. I would keep Laporta and Kincaid just for that upside.
Yeah, I lean towards keeping both of the young guys. However, if I had to drop one, I would drop Kincaid out of those two if you felt like you needed the points right now. Because I see him still taking more time. I mean, obviously, Dawson Knox is still getting a lot of playing times and targets, a lot of snaps. So it's going to take him a few more weeks to kind of get out, if he does ever get it, but it'll take him a little more time. Laporta doesn't have anybody really competition for him. So if you had to drop one, I'd drop Kincaid, but I would try to keep both of them.
And then you got to look at the offense side. I don't want any Cardinals really on my offense.
I'm just going to say my ranking would be Laporta, like you said, Jordan. My ranking would be Laporta, Ertz, then Kincaid for redraft. And then the other one, real quick, Jamie, don't go into a Roshan talk, please. Let's just keep it nice and simple.
All right.
Is Khalil Herbert droppable, yes or no?
I'd say no, not yet.
Okay, I agree. Not quite yet.
No.
One more week. We'll get to that later. Hint, hint. All right, so let's get into Monday night's game. We'll talk about both of them in order. So first off, down in the South, the nice NFC South, the Saints go and beat the Panthers 20-17. Jamal Williams did get hurt. Tony Jones Jr. and weirdly, Taysom Hill played tailback at certain points of the game. I won't get into that because that just drives me nuts and makes my skin crawl. But let's just get straight to it. Jordan, what is your takeaway of the Saints-Carolina game?
One, I've been looking at this guy ever since the Saints made this move, and I've been waiting to see if it would be a different guy, if we'd see what we've been hyped up to believe, especially for me being down here, man. When Derek Carr got to New Orleans, everybody thought Joe Montana was showing up, and after 2 games, that opinion has changed dramatically. I know they're still 2-0, but it's been a lot of Carr ain't it.
We'll get to the 2-0 part in a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at a healthy Michael Thomas for the most part. Chris Olave, a young stud. Rashid Shaheed, a deep threat. Jawan Johnson, a solid tight end. Now, he doesn't have Alvin Kamara yet, but I'm looking at the same Derek Carr that has not thrown for more than 30 touchdowns only once in his entire career. So far in 2 games, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, bad decisions, trying to push it down the field too much. He's never been a big touchdown guy, but it could be argued that he's never really had the amount of weapons that he has now. But it's the same thing. He can't convert in the red zone. He just, I don't know if it's the Saints offense or the coaching but he hasn't been a good red zone quarterback, hence the amount of touchdowns he's thrown, a lack thereof. I mean, last year he threw 24 with Devontae Adams, and I think Devontae Adams caught double digits, so wasn't many touchdowns going to other people. He threw 23 the year before that. I don't know, man. I'm just not impressed with Carr. I know the Saints needed a quarterback upgrade, and they got one, but it's not going to take them to that level they thought they would, considering the weapons that they have. And maybe when Kamara comes back, that may add another dimension that I'm not seeing, but I don't see it changing life completely for him in being able to convert in the red zone and converting those things into some touchdowns, especially with the run game not as effective as they thought it would be.
Jamie, what do you quickly? What do you think?
I just thought he'd be.
Carr?
I thought he'd be a better quarterback on the Saints. He's quarterback 28 right now in fantasy.
Yeah.
Like I was
like
maybe in the
11.5 points per game.
Yeah, I was like, he could be like 12 to 15 upside, but we haven't seen it yet. Maybe when Kamara comes back, he gets a little more comfortable. He's behind a better offensive line than he was in Vegas, so I don't know what the problem is.
All right,
it's him.
Okay,
yeah, so it probably is, man.
All right, so I thank you for giving me. I thank you, Jordan, for changing your next game topic a tiny bit, because this was gonna be my topic. So when you took it, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, we can all talk about it. I thought Derek Carr was going to be great. Not great, but I thought he was going to be good this year. I agree with you, Jamie. I thought he was going to be 12 to 15 upside. I thought this game against Carolina, even though it was a road game, they only have like 4 games outside of a goddamn dome. I thought he was going to be performed. They were going against a crappy offense. We'll get, rookie. I mean, I heard today, not to change subjects, but I heard today that Carolina had to take the QB sneak out of their offensive playbook because somebody is too small to sneak in between the linemen. I don't know how true that is, but that was an actual report. Okay. But Derek Carr has the weapons. Olave is a beast. He is a stud. Mike Thomas was a stud and is still decent. I did find it funny. I forget. I think it was on the Footballers this morning. They were saying that if you look at the stats broken up by quarter for game 1 and game 2, they were almost exact where Thomas got the fair share in the first quarter. And then in the third and fourth quarter, it was Olave. And let's not forget, Olave could have had a touchdown last night if his left side of his shoe was about 1/8 of an inch slimmer, because he barely hit the white line. But I agree with you. You still got Kamara coming back. He can still resurrect the season, but I am worried, and part of me thinks that it could be the play calling. And here's the biggest thing that we haven't brought up. If New Orleans stays winning or whatever, or is okay and not like down in the tanks, but he's struggling, how soon until we hear the whispers of Jameis? Because you're going to hear that down there. Am I wrong, Jordan?
How
I think they're going to be upset with Carr, but they've already seen what James is capable of down here.
All right, so Jamie,
Yes, sir.
I kind of alluded to the fact that the Carolina Panthers have a stinky offense, but there's one part of their offense that's not very good right now, and my fantasy teams are upset. So will you back me up?
Well, yeah. So I just wanted to highlight the inefficiencies of Miles Sanders recently. This game, he had 14 carries, 40 some yards. He was averaging 3.1 yards per carry. That is not what we drafted him for. He had 3 catches with 4 yards. Come on now. Like, we drafted him to get the volume, right? And we wanted those goal line touchdowns. When are they going to start coming? That's where we drafted him for. I don't see it. And Hubbard's been doing a little bit better than him with his efficiency. Like, I know he only had 2 carries, but for 18 yards or 16 yards.
That's the disgusting part of it.
Yeah, like, that reminds me of like a Khalil Herbert Roshan type thing. Like, why are you giving this other guy the ball when you have this other person that's more efficient and can do more with the ball? Get the ball down to the goal line. Let Sanders pound it in. That's what we drafted him for. That's what I want him to do. So they need to start doing it.
Okay, so go ahead, Jordan. What do you think about the situation?
I think this might have been our mistake in assuming that the Panthers offense would be good enough to get towards the goal line for them to get the goal line.
I'm bringing that up once.
But here's
yeah, you know
he
what?
did.
That's
It
true.
was
I
me
do
and you versus Jamie on this one.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the credit on that, Jamie. But here's my issue with why. Okay, you were right, Jordan. We were wrong. Okay. Like we were, there's other people that were wrong. But the reason I think we were wrong was I think we just thought the problem in Philadelphia, and we're not really going to talk about it, so I'll bring it up. There's one real reason DeAndre Swift kicked absolute ass on Thursday night.
That offensive line.
But it's the offensive line, but it's also the V word. In running back and for running game, volume is king. And I think we just assumed that going from Philly, where there wasn't a lot of king volume in Philly last year because of the split carries, I think we all assumed that because I know this is my problem. I assumed that he was going to get the volume, and because of the volume, was going to succeed, partially because with volume and the goal line that would end up showing up, the problem is it's inept and their offensive line is doo-doo, that they're not being able to get down there. When the best player on your team right now is Adam Thielen, I mean...
And you know, Sanders is actually, he's getting the volume. He's just crap.
That's what I'm saying.
Now.
I think I thought volume was going to help him, and he's just not doing anything with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at 3.6 per carry for the season. I mean, Tony Pollard is at 3.6 too. So I mean, you know, he's not doing well with it either.
Yeah.
But
Hubbard was second in receptions on the team.
Yeah.
He had 5 receptions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all agree on that one. So I think we're all going to agree on the next one, maybe in different capacities, because right now, if you look at the records of the NFL, if you look at just the records of the NFL and nothing but the records, and you did not know anything about the game of American football, you would think that the NFC South is the best division in the NFL. You got 3 teams that are 2-0, and you got 1 team that is 0-2 that deserves to be 0-2. That's Carolina. I think they could end up with a top 10 pick, and they don't even have their own pick. So, congratulations, Chicago. So, my takeaway from this game is actually how bad this division is. Because you got 2 teams that are 2-0. The Saints and Atlanta both have a win against the Carolina Panthers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a wins against Minnesota, who is a decent team, and it was on the road, and the Chicago Bears, which we will get into later. They do have to play the Philadelphia Eagles this week, so I do not think they turn 3-0. This division is going to eat themselves up alive. I think we could have 4 teams that are 3-3 in the division. Are we going to have a 7-9 division winner? I mean, an 8-9 division winner, because
I was even thinking of
like that to
6
me,
win.
or 7-10.
Yeah, I can see that. Like,
Honestly, I think that as much as it pains me to say, I think the Saints are going to win the division. I think they can win about 9-10 games.
9-8. I think they could go
Yeah,
9-8. I
9-8.
think they can go 9-8.
9-8, 10-7. I think they can do
I mean,
that.
the way Atlanta's running the ball, like they're taking a lot of clock
Yeah.
off. They're scoring points. They had 24 and 25.
A way to screw the knife more into Jordan's back. Why don't you?
Yeah, but Atlanta did do that. But I mean, they beat Carolina, and then they beat the Packers, which is a team still trying to learn exactly what their identity is now with a new quarterback. But Desmond Ridder is still the Atlanta quarterback, and until he had a decent game Sunday, but I'm not buying that. There's no way we're looking at Baker Mayfield and Desmond Ridder as 2 quarterbacks leading some undefeated teams. That's not going to last for much longer. That's not going to last for much longer.
But honestly, any 3 of us could lead Atlanta to an undefeated
I don't
season.
know about that. I mean, my knees are shot. I'd probably be dead by the time I try to get out of the pocket.
I can hand off to Bijan.
Yeah, I can do that.
That's all you need to do.
All right, so to get into the next game, Jamie, I am going to let you go first on this one. I think Jordan.
All right.
I think Jordan will allow that on this one. What?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the Steelers, after Chubb got hurt, we understand that happened. The Steelers hold off the Browns, who almost made a comeback on the last drive. They were getting Amari Cooper, which all of a sudden was able to play, because all weekend we thought Amari Cooper wasn't going to play, and now he's healthy and he does good. Steelers win 26-22. The defense has a great game. TJ Watt actually had his first ever defensive touchdown. Jamie, I had to go off camera real quick. I'm coming back on camera. Jamie, I have to see your face when I bring this up. What is the takeaway of your Cleveland Browns?
All right. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not Deshaun Watson. He didn't show up. Oh, this dude, I can't even read off everything he did. He had a pick 6 to start the game, right?
That wasn't his fault.
He almost threw another interception in the end zone. He got sacked 6 times. He fumbles the ball on a QB sneak on a 3rd down conversion. He fumbled the ball again for the Steelers touchdown to take the lead. What else did he do? He had 2 face masks that he just blatantly just grabbed them, wouldn't even let him go. It was obvious. It's like, what is this guy doing? I believe he finished with a 70 quarterback rating. I don't think he's ever finished that low. He didn't have a receiver over 100 yards. Right now, he's quarterback 15 on the year. We were drafting him, in the top 10? And I call him a bust at that point, because I thought he was going to finish top 15, but I didn't think
he's a bust right now. You gave him $230-something million fully guaranteed.
Exactly. So, where's this money going?
To the massage parlors?
Exactly. So, when is enough enough? Let him go get his massages if this is going to help win games.
Jeez.
All right, Jordan, quickly go into freaking.
Yeah, he is. I'm with Jamie on this. He's just been a disappointment so far, and the multiple turnovers, the costly penalties. His completion percentage over the first 2 games is in the 50s. He's averaging 5.6 yards per attempt. That's pathetic, man. It's just, and he has weapons. So I don't know. I had gave him grace last year. Obviously, he was rusty. So I thought with a full off season, the new weapons and with Elijah Moore and stuff like that, it doesn't even matter if Nick Chubb is running good or not. He's still just horrible in the passing game right now. So, and he played the first game was a bad weather game, and then last night was the Steelers defense with TJ Watt and that's Highsmith and those guys. So maybe, easier matchups come through, better conditions. We may see something closer to what we were banking on, but as of now, man, it's not looking good, and hopefully he could turn it around.
I got him in Scott Fishbowl. That's all I need to say. I said at the beginning of the year that and I agree with you, Jordan. I gave him a 100% pass last year, but I told myself I was going to give him a 3-game grace to be Deshaun. The problem is, I can't give him 3 games if he's not even 10% of what I thought he was going, 20% of what I thought he was going to be through 2, because he's going to have a Mahomes, Brady, Montana, John Elway type performance just to freaking bring him back up to a B. And now you don't have Chubb. You're going to be able to figure out a game plan now to, try to take people away. I'm scared for your offense. I'm sorry, Jamie.
Oh,
But
I am too.
I mean, I know you are. But speaking of offensive woes, there was a quarterback that I think I brought up in the Bold Take show, and somebody to the right of me that's shaking his head right now said, "Are you freaking crazy?" And I think the guy that said "Are you freaking crazy?" might be right. Jordan, take it away.
So I don't want to. I mean, as we all know, it's still very early, so it's too early to take victory laps. But Kenny Pickett, man, he's just not looking like it. Now, similar to Watson, I feel like he might deserve a pass for these first 2 weeks. Playing against the 49ers in week 1 and then getting the Browns defense in week 2. That's 2 of the tougher defenses in the league. So, hey, maybe that's all it was. It's just tough defenses. But he just hasn't looked good. I mean, he started getting some things going with Pickens later in the game last night. Won the long play, and then he started to kind of catch a little bit of rhythm. But I think that offense as a whole has kind of looked disjointed at times, and that could be from the massive pass rushes they've had to face the first 2 weeks. But I'm just looking at he's QB 30 on the season right now. 60.5 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Nothing to write home about. I mean, I know a lot of people anticipated him taking a leap, and that could still happen. But when you think about the division he's in, with the defenses in that division, the competitive nature of that division and those games and things like that, I don't know how much better he's going to be. I mean, I'm worried about Deshaun, but I don't have any Kenny Pickett, but if I did, I'd be very worried about him as well.
All right, Jamie, what do you think about Pickett? And then I'm going to go straight into my take about my guy.
Well, I'm giving him a pass right now just because of the defenses he has played. We all know that 49ers defense is elite. Just looking up now, the Browns are first in the NFL for completion percentage. They only allow 46.8%, 4.3 passing yards per attempt, which is the 3rd lowest in the NFL. Even their rushing yards and yards per completion, they're tied for 4th. Third down efficiencies, they only allowed 6 out of 29. That's first in the NFL. So the Browns defense is elite. So I'm giving him a pass on that. He did have that nice toss to Pickens, the Pickens touchdown, man. So I want to see more of that. And
you said it correctly.
I did. I've been practicing. But, I think he'll step up a little bit. Just give him a few more games. He'll get back up to that like 15 to 20 range where we thought he would be. So we'll see.
All right. So I'm not even going to talk about freaking Kenny Pickett because I'm done talking about him until he does something. All right. So here's my takeaway. My takeaway, I'm going to go in a roundabout way to get to where Jordan was going to get to earlier in the day, and then I'm going to let Jordan talk a little bit because I know he has an opinion. The backfield of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know, like Jamie said about Kenny Pickett, they are going against tough defenses. So I am taking that into account. Matt Canada, what the hell are you doing? And this isn't even my rant, okay? Matt Canada, why are you on the plane going back? Why are you still in the building? Go home. Let somebody else do your job, okay? Here is my point. And I'm going to go off camera a little bit because I got some statistical stuff that I want to bring up. If I told you that through 2 weeks, there was 37 running back touches, 39, but 2 are some random guy named Anthony McFarland. If I told you there was 37 running back touches, rushes, and passes between the two, Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, if I would have told you that before the year, how many of those 37 do you think you would have guessed Najee Harris got?
I'd say about 25.
Yeah, like 12 to 14 a game, so about 25 to 28.
What if I told you it was 19 to 18?
Jesus.
Okay. So you got 19 to 18 on touches. Okay, this is between 2 games. On Jaylen Warren in 2 games has 9 receptions to Najee's 3. 12 targets to Najee's 5. He has 16. Najee in 2 games has 16 rush attempts, boys. 16. Jaylen Warren has 9. What's funny is they both have an exact 46.7 opportunity share, even though, I'm scrolling over, Najee has only been on the field for 54.7% snap count. Jaylen Warren has been on the field for 41% snap count. For week 2, Jaylen Warren, 6 rushes for 20 yards. Najee Harris, 10 rushes for 43 yards. Receptions, 4 for Jaylen Warren, 1 for Najee Harris. Now I'm coming back on camera. How the heck is Najee Harris supposed to be a top 10 running back? Top 12 even, if that's going to happen. But the split where I thought was going to be 65, I even said, I think I told you, Jordan, in the beginning before the season started, I thought it was going to be like 65-35, and Jaylen was going to have a couple games that he was going to be usable. Yeah, they were going to give him the ball, whatever. So, Jamie, I'm going to let Jordan have this one. Why the heck is this happening? And what is going on with Najee? Or is this Matt Canada being a doofus?
I think it's a little bit of Matt Canada being a doofus and Jaylen Warren being more explosive. Najee didn't look good at the beginning of last season. I think he was suffering with an injury. Towards the end, he started to kind of pick it up. But after his rookie year, like, he hasn't been a good running back by like almost any standards. I mean, he had a stretch of time at the end of last year, but like overall in totality, he hasn't really been a good running back for the last 2 years. So it's tough for you to continue to give work to a guy who isn't converting, and you put another guy and he's just more productive. Warren looked more explosive last night when he got his touches. Sometimes it seems weird the way that certain touches are drawn up for certain guys. It doesn't seem like they're equally the same, the opportunity with those touches, but maybe that's just a backup and a starter thing. I don't know, but I think Matt Canada has to go, like you said, and then maybe we can reevaluate the situation. I mean, obviously Najee has a pedigree. He went to Alabama. He was highly recruited and all those things, but it just feels like when you watch them that Warren has more juice, and I don't know why that is.
Yeah, and it scares the living daylights out of me. Jamie, I got one question for you about this. Najee Harris is in his third year. Next year is his fourth year. He is a first round running back. Are the Steelers in any way possible going to pick up his fifth option?
No, not if Jalen Warren's running the way he is and how efficient he is. I don't see why they would. It'd just be a waste of money.
Oh,
They could just
I
draft
agree
him.
with you. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one thinking that.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think so.
All right.
Let me ask y'all this question before we move on. If they do move on from Najee, is Warren a running back that you could count on as a number one?
No, they're going to go to a committee like everybody else in the NFL. He'll be a 60-40. Yeah, so she says itty bitty South City 650. He keeps running Najee out of shotgun and instead of under center. Pittsburgh's OC is trash.
100%.
Agree.
Yep.
We'll get into that's that. When Warren gets in, they go under center. All right, so you guys know about where I'm going with this. We've already introduced it last week, so I'm just going to introduce the topic for the night because you guys know I like giving a little bit of hype. It is time for real or fake.
Oh.
Jordan, take it away.
So I'm gonna keep this brief. My first guy, I should have brought him up last week just because of the usage, but James Cook, man, I know he had his first 100-yard game of his career, and I'm not necessarily focused on the 100 yards. I'm just focused on how he's just been dominating touches for a very good offense. I know in the red zone, Damian Harris and Latavius Murray got carries, but I they don't really trust him too much in the red zone yet. However, right now he's he's doing this thing. He's the RB9, I think, on the season, averaging 5.8 yards a carry. He has 10 targets, 8 catches, and he's been dominating snaps. Outside of those red zone snaps from last week. But I like the way he's trending, and I think his performances could keep up. And like I said, anytime you have a guy dominating touches overall, running back touches overall on a really good offense, you should buy into that. I think that's here to stay, especially if, we see kind of a tempered down Josh Allen like we did this week. He wasn't slinging it, making those crazy decisions. He was turning around, taking what the defense gave him, handing the ball off, and I think that bodes well for somebody like James Cook. If Josh Allen could keep that up, I know it's killing them, but if he could keep that up, I don't see why James Cook couldn't continue to produce the way he has.
Jamie, what do you think?
Am I fake?
Jamie, what do you?
Oh, yeah,
James Cook, man. Yeah,
What do you
100%.
personally think about James?
Yeah, I think he's the real deal. Last week I had him. I said on the start set show, I had him as a top 6 running back, and he delivered for me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps to play the Raiders.
Yeah, that too. But I think he keep it up, top 15 all year.
And my fake was the obvious. We don't even have to spend much time on this. Brandon Johnson, obviously, when you catch a Hail Mary from Russell Wilson at the end of a game. I mean, the guy played less than 50% of the snaps, had a few targets, caught 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's not sustainable. On an offense where Jared Judy's starting to get more accustomed. He played more snaps than Marvin Mims, but I anticipate that'll change as the season continues to go on. So yeah, he's not here to stay.
All right. So the only reason I'm gonna take this one, Jamie, and then I'll give it to you for your 2 guys.
All right.
I was hoping you were going to pick the other one because, yes, Brandon Johnson is a total fake, but so is that damn passing offense in general. Jamie knows this wholeheartedly because we had discussions in the summer. Marvin Mims was I was all over Marvin Mims like white on rice.
Yep, same here.
But he is so fake. He had 5 routes ran all goddamn day. And then he goes and gets all these points. What really irritates me, really quick, and then I'll throw it to you, Jamie, for your guys. It was 8:15 West Coast. I played Hawkinson. I have Hawkinson and Kelsey in the lineup on the same team. I'm like, I got to put Kelsey in as a flex. I had to drop somebody, and I had to drop Mims. Okay, so yes, I'm a little butthurt, but Jamie, who is your real player of the week?
I'm going with not Bijan Robinson, but Brian Robinson. Um, he's doing awesome, man. Like way better than I expected him to do. I was
Yeah.
kind of off of him all draft season until going for two. Ryan Searfoss talked me into him. Then I started drafting him more and more closer to the season. I was drafting him over Gibson, which I know, Mike, you loved Gibson. I love Gibson. But yeah, Brian Robinson, he's getting like 61% of the snaps. He's getting like 18 carries. He's getting the yards. He's actually getting targets too. And the one thing that I notice is when they're running the ball, he's playing like 80 to 90% of the snaps on rushing downs. So he's also getting like 30% of the snaps on passing downs. I didn't think he was a pass catching running back. But I think he's going to keep it up all year. I know he's a top 10 right now, top 5.
He's RB3 right now.
Yeah,
Looking
okay,
at
so I don't think he's going to stay RB3 just because he could be game scripted out sometimes. It's possible that they are going to be playing from behind and they're going to need to pass more, so they will go more towards Gibson. Like we don't know, but that's the only thing is game script that worries me. He's not going to produce top 10 numbers every week.
Yeah, so my thing with Brian Robinson that upsets me is the fact that he's getting run over Antonio Gibson. I think they're going to end up using Antonio Gibson a lot more like McKissick than I thought. I thought they were going to be able to use him more intermingled with the offense. Anything within that 5-10 yard line, they're going to give it to Robinson. I understand Robinson's getting the fair share of the opportunities now. I do understand your worry about being game scripted out because they're not going to be in the same kind of games every week. But if you would have told me that I could count on Brian Robinson to be a top 20 running back at the beginning of the year, I would have taken it. And I think that's where he's on the path of going. So who is your fake performance of the week? I know you had some, I know we discussed this because you were trying to spin it. So spin it the correct way, sir.
All right, so Jamar Chase is faking us out right now at wide receiver 44 so far. Don't expect this to last. Like, he's elite. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. He's still going to get his. He'll start producing one way or the other. I'm not sitting Chase in my lineup. Someone asked me today, should I start sitting Chase? No. We drafted him in the top 3 picks of the draft. You're not sitting Jamar Chase. He had 8 targets week 1. He had 9 targets week 2. So he's getting those targets. He got 5 each week. He just hasn't had that touchdown yet. The touchdown's coming. He's just been having bad luck right now for a top 3 pick, and it's not going to continue. If you want to go buy low on him, I recommend it. See what you can get. And even in Dynasty, try to buy low on him. But if he's on my team, I'm not giving him up. I'm not selling him low, and I'm put him in my lineup every week.
Yeah, Jordan, what do you think about Chase?
I agree. I think a lot of it obviously hinges on Joe Burrow's health. I know he re-aggravated the calf, and we don't know what that entails. But if everything's good with Burrow, definitely buying low on Jamar Chase. I don't think this is going to link the Bengals' offensive struggles as a whole are going to last. So I would be trying to buy the Bengals. They're going into an easy stretch of their schedule right now, so it's imperative that Joe Burrow is healthy. The next 3 games are very easy for them. So I was trying to pull them up, but my computer's acting up. But yeah, they're coming into a soft portion of the schedule. Burrow being healthy, let's try to buy low on Jamar Chase if all systems go with Burrow.
All right, so for mine, I am going to flip them. I'm going to go fake first on this one. My fake performance, and there's a reason I'm going to throw it to a certain person on this one. My fake performance is Christian Kirk. And the reason I say it's a fake performance, it's not that I don't think Christian Kirk is talented. It's purely because his performance, he had 11 catches on 13 targets. Unfortunately, like on week 1, he only had 2 catches, or it was like 1 or 2 catches. He had a horrible week 1. Ridley had a great week 1. This week, Ridley had not a good week 2, and Kirk went off with 11 catches and 110 yards. Why? Because he was going against which defense? The hot garbage Kansas City Chiefs secondary. Yes, they had Chris Jones back. I wasn't able to watch the game, but from everything I saw and everything I read and everything I heard, Chris Jones was on fire. He was able to get to the quarterback. I heard Spagnuolo even told him, hey, because you weren't able to get into the game plan or whatever, if you come to the sideline and tell me who you want to go, what position you want to go over on the offensive line, let me know and I'll put you there. That's literally what he was doing. So there were times where he was like, put me over the left tackle, put me over the guard. The reason I'm saying Chris Jones caused Christian Kirk to have a great game, Lawrence had to get the ball out quickly. And who's playing that short slant, the short routes this year? Christian freaking Kirk. I don't think this is going to continue. Yes, he's going to have splash weeks, but I expect Lawrence, especially against Houston, I expect Lawrence and this offense to get back on track, and I expect Ridley to get back on track. Jamie, I know you're a Kirk guy, so why am I wrong?
Because I mean, Lawrence does like to target the slot. Kirk does play 70% of snaps when he's on the field in slot.
Yeah.
I just think he's going to get targeted, man. Like, what did he end up with this week?
He ended up with 11 catches out of 13 targets. My point is, I don't think he's going to target the slot as much because he's going to be able to
have
go
more
back
time
inside.
to throw.
Yeah,
okay,
that's my point.
The outside, right? And then Zay Jones has some kind of issue going on right now, so they might put Kirk on the outside a little bit more. I just don't see that they paid him all that money. He's not an elite talent, but we saw last year he was top 12 talent. I still think he'll end up like a low-end wide receiver too. Like I called it beginning of the year, he's probably going to end up wide receiver 24.
All right. This argument is going to go on all year. It's going to be me and Jamie, Ridley versus freaking Kirk all year. So, Jordan, if I was to tell you that there was a tight end on the Atlanta Falcons before week 2, and I told you the tight end was going to get 4 catches on 6 targets, 20% target share, wouldn't you tell me it was Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, unfortunately, I would have.
Unfortunately, it was Jonnu Smith. Okay. Jonnu Old Man Smith. Why is that important? Because his offensive coordinator, when he was on the Tennessee Titans, was the one and only Arthur freaking Smith. Why do I bring Jonnu up? For everyone that's listening, I'm sad to say the version of Kyle Pitts is not fake any longer. This is real Kyle Pitts, and it hurts me to say it. Last year, Jamie gave me a stat today that showed that from the first 2 games, the stats were almost the same, and then, Pitts came back a little bit. My problem, and this is what Jamie brought up because I was going to switch it, right, Jamie? Now they're going to hold the ball and run the ball and run the ball and run the ball, and I don't think that they're going to target Kyle Pitts. Am I wrong, Jordan?
No, you're 100% correct. And it pains me to say that, like we kind of hinted at earlier, one of us could hand off to Bijan all day, and that's essentially what Arthur Smith is comfortable with doing. I mean, obviously it's been successful so far. I mean, maybe, Drake London had one target with 0 catches in week 1. Then
Yep.
he had some targets and was very productive last week. So maybe this is a Kyle Pitts week coming up soon. I mean, typically people will say, man, Kyle Pitts needs to get the ball. He'll get a couple targets for 1 week and he'll go back to this. So I definitely think overall this is the real version we're seeing. And it's just a waste of talent all around for this offense as long as Arthur Smith is there and Desmond Ridder is the quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. So it is time for the host choice section of the night. So, Jordan, it is time for the randomness of the week.
We forgot the underdog, but we can do that after.
We'll do it after this.
I was just thinking as I watched Dallas stomp a mud hole through the Jets this past weekend. It's time they have a real quandary on their hands. And the reason why I say that is because you have a roster constructed to win right now. Everything is there. You have a run game, you have weapons, you have a defense. But now that your quarterback's Achilles was ruptured, you're missing the most important position on the team. And they're trying to run it back similar to last year with everything else, but the struggling quarterback, and it's not working, obviously. I know they got to win against the Bills, but we can't anticipate that happening much more. And Zach Wilson, I know Aaron Rodgers was there for a couple of months, but it wasn't enough to turn him from Zach Wilson into a good quarterback. So that still hasn't happened. And they have everything, and I think they need to try to make a trade. And I wonder, do they make a trade? What does that mean for Rodgers? Do they think about moving on from Rodgers? I think they have some decisions to make, and it's something that they have to make soon. You can try to get a temporary veteran like a Jacoby Brissett or someone like that who you think can maybe hold down the fort and get the team to the playoffs. Or you make a trade maybe for Kirk Cousins, somebody who's better, and then that means essentially you move on from Rodgers. I don't know, but I think that's an interesting decision that they'll have to make, and I wonder where they choose to go. I don't think you can run it all the way this season with Zach Wilson because you're not going to get anywhere with that.
Mm-mm.
What do you think, Jamie?
I actually think they're probably going to go out and get a familiar face in that quarterback room, Mr. Joe Flacco.
But that's not the answer.
The what?
That's not the answer to anything. Like
that's the answer. Oh no, but I think that's like their best bet right now. Like, because they ain't gonna go out. I don't think anyone's gonna trade them a Kirk Cousins or even a Jacoby Brissett. I don't know. I think they got
Sam Howell's looking pretty good right now. So
True, man. But we'll see, man. I think they'll just right now scrape the bottom of the barrel. Get someone else in there, like a veteran presence, and I think that's going to be Joe Flacco. Of course, that's not the answer, so I don't know what they're going to do after that.
All right, so Jamie, what the numbers are speaking to you? You want to win the people some money?
I'm trying, man. The past 2 weeks haven't been too good because I missed it by 3 points for the Chiefs, and last week was a higher scoring game than anyone could imagine. So I missed the 55.5 under. So I'm going to try to get it this week. Do you think on Thursday night, Christian McCaffrey is going to score a touchdown?
Yes.
I have a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown. Do you think the Giants are going to score over 9.5 points? So that's 1 touchdown, 1 field goal.
I want to say yes, but I'm not confident.
I think Waller might get one, or Danny Dimes is going to run it in.
Yes.
One or the other. And then I think they'll get a field goal. So that's 10 points there. So under 9.5. I think San Fran will score at least 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, or even 3 touchdowns. So that's 19.5 over. I think San Fran's are going to win. So I took the money line. Brock Purdy, I think he'll throw for over 175 yards. And I'm taking the under I know the under is 45.5, but I wanted to be safe, and I took 50.5. So with all that combined, what is it at? Plus 370. So put $10 on it, you get like $47. Not that bad. So
Not bad.
yeah, I mean, do you guys think that can happen?
I think it could happen.
Like
Yeah,
a
that's very
20
realistic.
game, McCaffrey scores a touchdown, 49ers win. Brock Purdy throws 175 yards. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you got to take the under on the points, 50.5.
I just hope the Giants don't make you sweat it out with that last field goal in the fourth quarter.
Oh man, if they score 3 field goals and I just get 9. That would be frustrating.
Did you have another one? Did you have another bet?
I did, but I'll skip that one. That's all right.
All right. So I agree with you. I do think that the Niners are going to the over under I'm safe with, and I am safe with. I do think McCaffrey's going to score. Jordan, why don't you give your answer and then set me up and then I am putting on the prop.
Yeah, so yeah, Jim, I think that's like the Giants is something. 10 points seems like, maybe I'm too harsh on them because of them getting shut out to Dallas, but that's rare that happens. So I definitely think that that's something you can. They should be able to cash easily. I would like for Waller to get a touchdown. Me as a owner of him in several leagues, but
Same.
yeah, that's the thing, and just seeing those games and stuff like that. I I'm looking at I'm looking at what Mike has here, and I'm interested to see where he's going with this. Um, this team is 0-2. They have what I thought was a stud quarterback, but I'm not sure. I'm starting to doubt that from a fantasy perspective now. I'm hearing rumblings that he may not finish the season as the starter, depending on how things continue to go. But Mike, give us your rant of the week.
All right, boys.
Okay.
I have put on my Brian Urlacher jersey. All right. I am conjuring up the Bears from Saturday Night Live. And here we go. McCaskey family, get out of your press box and get rid of Luke Getsy. You know why? Because Luke Getsy was the offensive coordinator, and he was there before Eberflus. The problem can't always be Justin Fields. Yes, Justin Fields is part of the problem. You go and you target freaking DJ Moore finally, but then in the second half, you decide not to target him, and then the mother trucker wide receiver is wide open across the middle, and you decide to look to the right, look to the left, and throw it to no one. Are you freaking kidding me? For the past 3 years, you have a tight end who everyone keeps saying, it's his year. It's Cole Kmet's year. It's Cole Kmet's year. You know what? It's Cole Kmet's year the next time the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl. Okay? Which is never. Okay? For Justin Fields, you look scared. You look like you don't know how to read offenses. You went to freaking Ohio State. You should know how to run a freaking offense. But the problem with Luke Getsy and Justin Fields, last year, he started off slow. Justin Fields. Then he picked it up, and that's why we all thought this was going to be the year that Justin Fields was going to do something. It's like they went back in a time warp, and it's 2022 again. Okay? Then you go, and Jamie, I'm going to give you some props on this one. Then you go and draft a running back who is supposedly as good as Khalil Herbert, and you're not even using him good. Well, all I'm going to say is Luke Getsy, if you are there at the end of this year, the front office of the Chicago Bears needs to answer to the fans because the Bears are not going to win. And my pick of the Bears winning the division is going down the shithole.
Yes.
Would either one of you like to tell me why I'm right? Because I know I am.
You're right, man. Just real quick, you have a running back that can run 8 yards to 10 yards per carry. Just give him the ball every time. Let him run 10 yards. Get a first down. Another 10 yards.
You talking about Dante Form?
I'm talking about Roshan Johnson, buddy. His yards per carry, man. Every time he touches the ball, it's electric. And they're only giving the ball like 3 to 4 times a game. Like, come on. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think you mentioned Fields being part of the problem. Like, he takes too many sacks. Yeah. That's part of it. You trade the number 1 pick for DJ Moore, then you target him 2 times in week 1. Like, I mean, he started to do it, like you mentioned, in week 2, but I think things need to change. It starts with the offensive coordinator. I think Fields has some talent. He's shown that at times. He has the ability. We just got to get him in the right position. The Bears are not doing that. Offensive line sucks. He's running for his life continuously every game. But I think he has to do a better job of processing defenses and reading those things and knowing where he needs to go with the ball and actually being decisive as opposed to holding it, waiting for a big, huge play instead of just taking what's there. I think he needs to kind of continue to work on that. But the talent is there, and hopefully the Bears give him a fair shot to be successful.
Yep. All right, so it is that time of the night for Jamie to do his job. And where is it? It is right now. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick'ems for every major sport. Sign up with our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match of up to $100. It's as simple as that. Sign up with promo code GF2 and you can start your pick'ems now. All right, so let's get into the waiver wire real quick segment of the night.
Led boy.
I'm going to bring up a couple questions. This one real quick. Currently have Rachaad White. Free agent available is Jerome Ford and Kyron. Should I consider dropping White for either? I can only keep 3 running backs on my roster. My other 2 are Gibbs and James Cook. If you've listened to us tonight, you are not dropping James Cook. And you are not dropping Gibbs. So, Jordan, you look like you feel this is a conundrum.
So, Rachaad White had a good game. I think if I might do it for Kyron just because he doesn't have any competition for touches. He's coming off a game where he played 76 or 78 snaps, but I would probably keep White. I wouldn't drop White for Ford, that's for sure, but I would think about it for Kyron.
Jamie?
I'm not dropping him for either. I like Rachaad White. I've been a Rachaad White guy all off season. I still have him ranked pretty high in my dynasty rankings. Ford, they're going to bring someone in. They already worked out Hunt today. So that could be a split backfield. I don't think Kyron I don't believe in his talent. I think he's too small, too slow, too inefficient, but he gets targets and he gets those touchdowns, but I don't see him like he's on a pace for 34 touchdowns this year. That's not going to keep up.
Nope. So I'm keeping Rachaad, but I am afraid that that's not good. I'm just afraid that Tucker's. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see that offense keeping it up. I mean,
Exactly.
I do think I do want to bring up one quick point. Baker Mayfield is. I'm not saying the Eagles are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But the Eagles' defense so far is the worst against quarterbacks because of their secondary. They're stopping the run, putting people having to they're getting ahead. Quarterbacks are having to throw the ball. If you're in a deep league or you're in major trouble, Baker could have an okay game. Jordan, why don't you give us your waiver wire and then we will answer this next question in between you and Jamie.
So we were just talking about him, but Jerome Ford, obviously, I think he's. I mean, unless Kyron Williams, I guess, is available on waivers, Jerome Ford is like the number one waiver priority. I think. I mean, he had the long run last night, but other than that, I mean, he got targets. If Deshaun Watson is going to be this bad, hopefully he at least checks down to the running back, so he can actually complete some passes. But he's gonna get. They're saying he's gonna be the RB1. They believe in him. The coaching staff is high on him. Obviously, they're gonna bring a running back in, but Ford is going to split, and if he does split, who's to say he wouldn't get the majority of the split? I mean, so I would spend some money on him, and then another guy I have is I'm interested in is Tank Dell, receiver for the Texans. When Noah Brown went on IR, that opened up an opportunity for him, and he capitalized 7 for 70 with a touchdown. I know him and C.J. Stroud played together; they have that chemistry. I like Tank Dell. I'm spending some money on him as well.
Yeah, Jamie, what do you think about those guys? And I know you wanted to talk about Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome, man, like I'm picking him up where I can, but I really can't pick him up anywhere because I already own him. I think I looked it up earlier. I got 28 shares of Jerome Ford. I believe 13 of those are Dynasty. The rest are all best ball redrafts. But if he's out there, pick him up. He looked good. If he would have got that touchdown, I know they tripped him up on like the half-yard line. But yeah, I'm picking him up. I'm recommending people pick him up because even if he does split, I think he's better than Kareem Hunt. I called it last year, going into the season, last season, that Jerome Ford is a better version of Kareem Hunt. And I still believe that.
All right, so before we go with yours, I'll read this out. It's a little long. Quarterback is Josh Allen. Running back is Bijan, Derrick Henry, and Javonte Williams. Wide receivers are Mike Evans, McLaurin, Slant Boy, Hollywood Brown, Judy, Thielen, and I'm assuming Brandon Cooks. His tight end is Mark Andrews and Kincaid. Do I trade McLaurin and Thielen for Kamara?
I think he's got enough depth. He can end up doing that, yeah.
Does he need to?
I don't think he needs to with Bijan, Henry, and Javonte.
Yeah, you got Bijan, Henry, Javonte.
I'm not.
I wouldn't do it, but I could see why someone would. Those maybe try to package Thielen and Cooks.
And so if he does that, he has Mike Evans as his number one. That's risky, I guess.
He'll have Evans, Slant Boy, and Hollywood.
Well, I think Judy makes a comeback.
Judy, yeah.
I think Judy will be like the 1-2 with him and Evans.
With that offense right now?
Sled Boy, that's funny. Hollywood with that offense.
Exactly. You're sitting there talking about Hollywood. You're sitting there telling me you don't want any Arizona, and Hollywood might be his 3.
Hollywood would definitely be his 3, or his 3.
Evans, Slant Boy, and Hollywood until Judy shows up.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Cooks is injured.
Take Thielen or Cooks and go get Roshan.
There it is.
All right.
Speaking of Jamie's opinions that don't matter, what is your waiver wire?
I'm picking up Josh Reynolds right now. I don't think he's owned very much. Like, what was it, 18%?
Yeah,
something like that. But I wrote him up on the waiver wire article for going for 2, so you can go check that out. But I just want to bring up some points. Week 1, I believe he had the most receiving yards. Week 2, he had those 2 touchdowns. So he's right up there with St. Brown. And St. Brown right now has some kind of a toe issue. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So even with St. Brown in there, he's still getting targeted just as much as St. Brown is. And if St. Brown has to sit out with the toe issue, like he's going to be the number 1 on a high-powered offense. And now Montgomery, he's banged up, so they might have to be throwing the ball more. He's a great option. Just like throw in there. He's guaranteed you 12 points, but he also has that upside to get you the touchdowns. I'm probably putting at least 5 to 7% on him if I need him. But even when what's his name, Jameson Williams comes back, I know he comes back in week 6. I believe he'll carve out some kind of a role where he's still going to be usable, like in a flex position, even when Jameson comes back.
Yeah. So all I'm going to say about Reynolds is it drives me nuts because he is addable. You're 100% right. But I should have started him in a dynasty league and I didn't, and I lost by 3. But the problem with Reynolds is he's going to be one of those ones that when you start, he's boom or bust, I think. But with the worry about St. Brown, I'm okay playing him. Jordan, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm adding Josh Reynolds if I can as well. He is available a lot of places, so I'm trying to get some. And like Jamie said, when Jameson Williams gets back, I think Reynolds has proven himself enough to still have a role in that offense. They're going to be throwing it a lot. And so you would think with David Montgomery injured that they could still run the ball with a stud rookie running back that they have, and also another guy that they like. So who's your waiver wire guy?
So speaking of running backs, and I was not thinking yesterday or the other day I was going to have to bring this guy up. But when I re-looked at the stats and listened to another pod and they brought up this stat, Craig Reynolds, I will put that trade up in a second. Craig Reynolds, running back for the Detroit Lions, the backup that came in after David Montgomery did go down. It has been confirmed that he's going to be ankle kneecap biter. Freaking Campbell's like, oh, he might day to day, and freaking Craig saying, or David Montgomery saying, I'm out for a couple weeks. He got freaking carted off. He's out for a couple weeks, people. He's not coming back this week. But when Craig came in, and things could change because of having a week, but instead of running Gibbs more, they literally put Craig in as David Montgomery's role and just threw him out there and kept Gibbs in the same amount of shares or whatever. I am not saying to start Craig Reynolds this week, but he's one of those guys that if you don't pick up now, it's going to be too late to pick him up when you need him if he does get that role next week. There is a chance that Gibbs pulls out a bigger role of play, but if he doesn't and they just plug Reynolds into Montgomery's role, you're going to want to get him ahead of time. The other player that I want to bring up is another ad for the future. The reason I say that is a lot of us play in some deeper leagues, and you got to get guys sometimes a week ahead because if you don't, you're SOL. Jaden Reed of Jordan's Packers is a guy that I would be starting to try to pick up because if he's going to carve a rollout in that offense, it does look to me like they're going to be passing the ball a little bit more than we thought, that he could have an actual role in that offense, especially if we don't know what is really up with Christian Watson, because it seems like Christian Watson might be dinged up, and even if he does come back right away, he might be hindered at first. Jordan, it's your team. What do you think about Jaden Reed?
Yeah, I like Reed, man. I know he's been scoring touchdowns and, not really getting a lot of yards and stuff, but he's definitely carving out a role. Jordan Love is starting to trust him. I thought Romeo Dobbs would be that guy, but he kind of laid an egg against Atlanta. and it was kind of the Reed show. And I do think they'll be throwing the ball a lot more. I'm just excited about seeing what Love can do once Christian Watson is healthy, and I would like to see what that looks like at the time. Just to kind of touch on Craig Reynolds really quick.
Yep.
The Lions, they talked about Gibbs getting more work after week 1.
Yep.
That didn't happen. They talked about getting DeAndre Swift more work. That never happened. I don't believe nothing Dan Campbell and his staff said.
Jamie, which one of those two do you want to talk about before we get into this trade and then close out the show?
I love Jaden Reed, man. He's been one of my guys I've been drafting. I actually wrote him up on going through waiver wire this week also. But yeah, he's one of my favorite guys. I stashed him. I didn't drop him, and I'm fortunate. I even played him in a couple leagues.
Nice.
So I benefited from that.
All right. So
I remember, Jamie, you said Romeo Dobbs is trash,
Yeah.
and Reed is the guy. So yeah,
I
thought about that.
Dobbs, man.
I thought about that on Sunday.
All right. So we are starting to run a little bit late. We will do our primetime picks over Twitter. We won't do that live tonight.
Okay.
I will say that Jamie is in the lead, then Jordan, and then I am behind both of them right now. It's one game. Jamie's one game ahead of Jordan, and then I'm one game behind Jordan. This trade real quick, we will bring this up, and then we will sign out. Should I trade away? And I'm going to go to you first, Jordan, because I saw your reaction when you saw it. Should I trade away Miles Sanders and Chris Olave for Jamar Chase?
I guess I would have to see what the rest of the team looks like, but that's tough. I mean, if Miles Sanders is as bad as Jamie's saying, then it's really only Olave for Jamar Chase, and at that point, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm saying if you have two stud running backs, which I'm assuming you do because Miles Sanders was a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
So he probably has 2 stud running backs. So if Sanders is your 3rd running back, I would definitely do that.
Would you do this?
It is an even fair trade, though. I'm looking at it.
This if he was your 2?
If he was my 2, no, I would not. I would need Sanders.
Okay.
Who else do I have as my 3rd?
All right, hold on. I got it. I got it. Hold on. I have James Cook,
yes.
Gibbs. Yes, you're doing it.
Yes, you do that trade.
Because then you would have James Cook, Gibbs, Diggs, CD Lamb, and Jamar Chase.
Yes,
do that.
Winning team right there. And go to the beginning of the show, I did bring up Jamar Chase.
And then you can just grab if you don't have any other running backs or you need a running back, that's when you play the waiver wire. This is a perfect time. This is a perfect team in wide receiver core. And I know this is not how you played it in the draft, but this is the perfect way that you play that 0 RB where you go and play the waiver wire when you have a wide receiver core that's that stacked.
Yep, and just stash people, man. Like Roshan, I'm telling you, he's only 48%
okay. Jamie, I know I am wearing this for the bit. But you need to stop playing the bit every 2 minutes of the show.
I help it, man. I'm helping the people out. If they want to start running back week 6, 7 on.
So today was a great show. We did run a little long, but that is okay. I do know both of the East Coast boys are starting to get tired. So let's sign off and get Jamie out of here so he can go to bed. Jamie, why don't you start off the sign-offs, my man?
Yeah, on Twitter, Jamie Perogue. I'm here every Tuesday night on Cheatsheet and Sunday morning on the Sunday Morning Start Sit Show.
Catch me every Tuesday on the cheat sheet. Check out Fake Out on Breakout every Wednesday on goingfor2.com. I'll slip my mind there, but yeah, I'll catch you guys next week.
All right, you guys know where to find me on the X, Blue Twitter, whatever you want to call the dang thing these days. Find me at Drop to Mike FF. You can find me here on Tuesday nights. Been a great show for Jamie, for Jordan. I'm Mike. Peace out.